Welcome to the all-new Transition Podcast.
This week we're going to be playing an exclusive clip of a transition acoustic session recorded in Taipei.
We're going to interview a special guest, our longtime friend and collaborator, Beiji Xiong, or Polar Bear.
And generally we're going to be keeping you up to speed on what Transition have been up to, as well as what's going on in the wider Mandarin music scene.
That's right. I'm Jesse. I'm recording in the UK at the moment.
And this is Josh. I'm based in Taipei, which is 8 hours ahead of you, Jess. So I'll let you know what happens in the future.
All right, okay. We're a band that play music in Mandarin Chinese, and we have been for... our first song was written about 8 years ago, 2010, and that went viral. And ever since then, it kind of hooked us into the scene. And people always ask us, they say, what's it like being a band where one member lives in Taipei and the other lives in Bristol? So Josh, how does it work?
Well, it involves a lot of travelling as well as a lot of working online. So yes, it's an unusual way at the moment, but that's one of the nice things about making this new podcast, is that we can bring you two very different perspectives on Mandarin music scene. I'm certainly looking forward to interviewing various other singers and people in Taiwan here, or maybe some others from other parts of mainland China or even other countries, Malaysia, Singapore. We'll see. So
yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah,
definitely benefits to being in two places.
That's right. So let's get started. What have we been up to over the last little while? Josh, do you want to explain what we've been doing and where we've been?
So a few months ago, Jess was out here in Taiwan, and also we were extremely excited because Niall, Beiji Xiong, who is a Transition founding member, lived in Taiwan with us for 3 years when we were all here, studied Chinese together, was part of the whole journey of beginning to write our own songs, create Mandarin songs. He came back as well for a new project which we've started, which involves releasing a new music video every week. Some will be our own songs, some will be cover songs, and then some are other collaborations with different artists from the music scene over here. So we're really excited to be able to introduce in many different ways a lot of different sides of the Mandarin music scene. And this video series is going to be a big part of that.
That's right, yeah. That's one of the things that we're most excited about, is being able to share with you some of the great artists that we've come across and be able to write songs with or jam with or play with. And I really feel that you guys are going to love it. And so getting back to the trip that we were talking about, Taipei, obviously we love the whole scene. We love the whole lifestyle, the culture. So for me, after a few months of being in England, getting to go back to Taipei, having my beef noodles, smelling the smells, hearing the sounds, for me it's an invigorating experience. And we were recording at one of our friends' studios who we met the very first time that we went to Taiwan. And we've kept in touch with him since. And he's developed this studio. It's definitely one of my favorite places to record music in the world. It's just full of vintage gear, full of amazing instruments. And it's just got this peace to it and this kind of vibe which helps you to relax and to get creative and really feel whatever music you're doing. Is that something you would say, Josh?
Absolutely. And so we mentioned this new video series. Part of that was recorded in this studio. On the side, we also recorded some brand new Transition material, which is as yet unreleased. So we will no doubt give you guys, listeners, a little bit of a sneak preview onto some of those as we go.
That's right. And we tried to go out and about a bit as well, didn't we? We didn't just record in the studio. We did some where you can see a little bit of the Taipei skyline or background.
Yes, absolutely. And see the great Taiwanese winter weather.
Which was beautiful.
Okay, so this week then, kicking off with a song, we talked about actually something that was really exciting, which was having Polar Bear, Beiji Xiong, back involved with this particular project. And as we say, he's a founding member of Transition. He's been with us on the journey for, I think it was 15 years. He had a few years out, but then for this project, the three of us working together again, the song quite aptly is called 回来了. So 回来了, it means returning or coming back. Kind of, it's literally like declaring I'm back. So it's quite a good phrase. So for you guys learning Chinese, 回来了 is a useful one to know. And this song talks about returning to somewhere that you perhaps used to call home, or somewhere that was familiar to you, a place that you love, and you've been away for a long time, and returning, you're not sure. It's something about that complexity of the emotions of, I know I've changed. I know this place has changed. Are the friends going to remember me still? You know, is that maybe there's a special person waiting for me there, or am I going to be able to fit in again? It's something of that excitement at coming back, but also slight trepidation of not quite being sure what it's going to be like. And for all of us in different ways, actually, we're going to get Niall to tell you a little bit about his own perspective, because he hadn't been back to Taiwan for 4 years, wasn't it, I think?
Yep. So for him, he was very excited to go back. Music's one of these funny things, isn't it, where you create something and it almost takes on a life of its own. And then as you sing it in different places, you know, for me, meaning singing Hui Lai La in England is a totally different experience to singing it in Taiwan, because it's almost like we have these two homes. And so you're always returning from somewhere to somewhere else, and you're going to be experiencing these emotions. And there's always a bit of, you know, a part of you which is in each place, particularly when there's people in both places who you really connect with. So leaving them is often the hardest thing, and then going back to the other place, you know, you find, oh great, I'm back here again. But also there's that tinge of having to leave something behind as well, isn't there? You kind of, I'm back, but also I've left something, and these bits of you get left in different places. So yeah, why don't we listen to the song?
Good idea.
Here it is, and then after this you'll hear the interview that I recorded with Bei Jishong. Here's Hui Lai La.
过去的回忆都在脑海里，你是否还记得我们之间的爱？现在要重新开始，一起来把过去都放下，创造新的未来。我回来了，你怎么样？我回来了，好久不见。我不知道我们的缘分有没有改变。我回来了，你怎么样？我回来了，好久不见。我不知道我们的缘分有没有改变。
Niall, thanks for joining us. And
Pleasure.
yeah, can you give us a few of your thoughts about how was it when you were going back to Taiwan this time?
It was amazing. I mean, it was a very short time, but you know, also the time difference between the UK and Taiwan at that time, I think it was 8 hours, was it?
That's right. Yeah.
It basically means, you know, I left on Wednesday and got there on Thursday night. So I then returned back to UK. I was back on the next Wednesday morning. So so it gives you an idea. You know, it was basically really a weekend in Taiwan, which is a shame to go that far for such a short time. But it was a really amazing time as well. And I think you know, particularly that day when we recorded the Hui Lai La video there, that was a really really special day, because we were recording a bunch of things, weren't we, with different people and old friends, and it was just really it was really special. And that song, I suppose, sort of sums up that feeling of kind of returning home or returning to old friends, and that kind of sense of coming back, and the feeling that those connections are still there, I think. So yeah, it was incredible.
So for you, can you tell us more about that sense in that song of like coming back? How did it feel for you?
Yeah.
Being back there and...
Yeah, well, I mean, literally recording that video, you know, I was very aware of that sense of being back. So it was a very poignant song to be singing when you've just come back to somewhere that means so much to you. And I think, and I'm sure you guys all felt that too. You have this sort of, I suppose you have an idea of what something's going to be like when in your head when you come back to it, but it's always, the reality of it is always slightly different, or slightly, I don't know. It's I can't quite explain it really. It's just it was a very powerful. It's a very powerful thing. I'm reminded of that of when we wrote that song. How 4 years ago now was it, or
4 years ago,
something like that? Wow, time flies, eh?
Yeah.
So I remember starting the idea, all playing guitars and Josh playing djembe, and just sensing that maybe this had a bit of a piano vibe to it. This song, moving down to that corridor where that lovely piano that you guys have there is, and just kind of all gathered around playing it and working on it and trying things, but that's that kind of sense. And I had just been back for my very first time back since we lived there to Taiwan. Probably, I don't know, like a month or two before. And we'd had this kind of sense of returning already, and so I think we were still very much in that moment, or that kind of that feeling. So it was quite it kind of just came out of us, really, didn't it? It's kind of flowed out of us, that feeling. It was really powerful, really, really lovely.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of describing it, flowing out of us, because I think my experience of it as well was something. It's like that feeling's been there in the background, but at that perfect moment, it does just appear, and the song embodies something about what you're feeling. And rather than being an answer or just a simple meaning, it helps to sing about the inconsistencies in the way you feel. Because going back to somewhere, you can feel excited but nervous, and you can feel, the place will have changed.
Absolutely,
maybe for better, but maybe my place isn't. Well, it's definitely not the same as it was. So how do I fit now?
Yeah,
and the song. Yeah, it's just interesting the way songs can do that. They can embody seemingly contradictory feelings and emotions, and that's something very special about music.
Yeah, and I remember at the time kind of likening some of that feeling to one of my favorite songs by Eason Chan.
Yeah,
好久不见. And which means long time no see, and that song really has it's that kind of the meaning of it is, it has that feeling of like seeing someone again for a that you haven't seen for a long time, and it has that build up to it. What's it going to be like? Will people have changed? Will we have things to talk about? Will we still feel that connection?
Yeah.
And in the chorus of that particular song, it sort of ends with him just kind of saying, just waving and saying 好久不见, just somehow a phrase like that sums up so much, in the context of that song.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that there's something of that in Hui Laila when we sing it. It's just kind of simple, a simple phrase, 我回来了.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of depth to it in terms of what it means. At least when we were writing it and when we've sung it, and doing that live video in Taiwan there not so long ago. If you feel that the power of that. I think that's what, certainly for me, that was the case.
Yeah. And so how about the concerts there?
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed the experience of playing live in Taiwan. I love playing live wherever it is, really.
Yeah.
It was an interesting trip because we went to Taiwan and then we went to Hong Kong. Singing in a different language and speaking a different language in a concert, and having that feeling of crossing a bridge, of a divide.
Yeah.
Which certainly here in the UK it's a bit of a hot topic at the minute, and I know it is in other countries in the world as well. But that feeling of like, what are we doing? Are are we burning our bridges or are we extending them? You know, and it's a very powerful feeling in just a small way, but to be speaking somebody else's language that, you know, that's not your mother, your first language.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing feeling, even with my level of Chinese, which is
It's good.
which is not always great, but kind of, you know, gets there in the end most of the time.
Yeah, I always feel like that. I know enough to get myself into trouble, but not enough to get out of it.
I think that is very true. I feel like that. But yeah, no, it's amazing fun, and it was actually really good this time because, like I said, we went to Hong Kong and every gig was really different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like we had this we had a big outdoor gig which was great. Then literally a couple of hours later, we were playing to a really small group of mostly friends in this really posh cafe.
Yeah.
But it was a very close, intimate kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we were off to Hong Kong and playing there. It was a very, very diverse audiences on this trip, wasn't it?
That's right. It's the first time we played in a cafe full of diamonds.
Yeah, that it was surreal, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
It was it's funny, and I think that's one of the things that's always been for me. That's always been a hallmark of, especially like in the last decade or more. Just always wondering. I mean, we even wrote a song about it. How did we end up here? You know, but that sense of wow, how did we end up doing these different things? Always surprised by it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was an amazing time. Really, a whirlwind of a time, but really, really good.
And so, what are some of your favourite things about Taiwan then?
How long have you got?
Yeah.
The first thing has to be people. You know, like I say, I mean, you know, we've experienced that so much over the years on our trips to Taiwan and living there. And I mean, yeah, you have to say food as well because there's so much good Taiwanese food. I love Taipei. You know, the city's so interesting and so you just always have this feeling like something's happening, something's going on, and I like that. Although it's not very conducive to going to sleep. I like that. I like that feeling of like things are going on.
Yeah,
you know, it's sort of that exciting feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I mean, it's amazing. Really, like surrounding Taipei, you've got also amazing mountainous landscape, and not too far away, you've got the beach. You know, it's only not too far at all to get to like Yilan.
Some of your favourite foods?
Well, food. I mean, yeah, there's just so much. I actually on when I arrived, this trip just gone. On the night I arrived, I stayed with Josh, and he took me out to a kind of a night market that's near his house.
Oh, right, okay.
So I had really nice sort of soup, noodles, or kind of like It wasn't really noodles actually. I don't think it was more like sort of soup, dumpling type things. It was really good. I've never had that before. It was really good.
Yeah.
And I also had Ji Pai.
Yay, nice.
Which is the Taiwanese fried chicken.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
We had some nice crab dumplings in Hong Kong. Crab season in Hong Kong, fresh dumplings,
yeah.
one bao per basket.
Yeah, that was amazing in Hong Kong. Yeah, we went to a lovely restaurant, wasn't it? I think it was actually probably technically was it a Shanghai restaurant?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it's that brings you back when, like, for me, going and you know, trying some of this food again that I haven't had for a couple of years really brings on that feeling of you know, it's like it's the whole thing. It's the whole it's the sounds and the smells and the tastes and it's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That does that.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking about that.
Oh, my pleasure.
We'll be back in touch again, I'm sure.
Cool. Yes, and I look forward to going to be playing some gigs soon, so that'll be good.
Yeah. All right. 再见.
It's a great interview. Really good. One thing I just pick up on, he mentioned that I took him out for some late night food at a kind of night market near where I live in Taipei. And I think he forgot the name of it was in Chinese it's called 牛肉汤饺. 牛肉汤饺. It's beef soup with dumplings inside it. So we hope you guys have enjoyed this first in the series of the new Transition podcast. And we also hope you've enjoyed the song 回来了, which if you've heard it on our album, then you would have heard a different version to the live acoustic version that we've played today. And also, what are we going to be doing next week, Jess?
We are going to be hearing from a very special guest next week called Wing. And Wing is one of our friends in Taiwan, really talented musician, sings in lots of different languages. His latest album has one song with about 4 different languages: Hakka, Mandarin Chinese, Taiyu, which is Taiwanese, and English as well, just a little bit. But yeah, so the song that we play with him is called
放空假期. We'll explain that next time. The words, though, that we want you guys to remember from this week are 回来了, the name of this song, which means I'm back, or returning, 回来了. And also, I think it would be good if you remember the food that Niall was recommending, which is 牛肉, which is beef, 汤饺, which is beef soup with dumplings. Beef soup with dumplings, 牛肉汤饺. So order that if you can.
It's especially good for curing jet lag, as Niall said.
Absolutely. On top of that, we'd love to hear from you guys, the listeners. So please do write to us.
Yeah, that's right.
You can do that via YouTube, our Transition official channel on YouTube, via Facebook, Transition 前进乐团 on Facebook, or via our website, transition.tk. They're kind of slightly more old-fashioned, but definitely reliable method of getting in touch with us. Transition.tk.
Yeah, please do get in touch. Any questions, any comments on the show, any things you'd like to share, it would be great to hear from you.
Or even people that you'd like us to interview and feature. So do let us know and we'll chase them down.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. That's it for this week. Be back next week and listen to us then. For now, bye-bye.
See you guys.
再见.